Breaking news, Tammy Bruce, Fox News contributor and president of the conservative Independent Women's Voice, and Brad Woodhouse, executive director of Protect Our Care and former communications director for the DNC. Brad and Tammy, great to see you.
How are you?
Fantastic. Good. I'm glad to be here. Yeah. I mean, I brought my anti-swamp gear. So, Tammy, let's talk about where we are as they are taking this vote and what this means for maybe the Freedom Caucus inside the House.
Sure. So there's a suggestion that if Jim Jordan doesn't get any votes or it's a real washout, that is somehow a statement about the Freedom Caucus. I would argue, though, that there's always been a fracture there. Obviously, that's why there's a caucus for particularly conservative Tea Party type individuals. So it wouldn't necessarily be surprising. McCarthy is expected to win. But I think that there's already a spin, though, of suggesting that it's Freedom Caucus type individuals who are responsible for what happened on Tuesday, or the attitude or that kind of politics is responsible. That would be a mistake. The general sense is that, and I agree with Jim Jordan, that if the Republicans had behaved differently in the last 2 years, were more unified, were able to do more on the wall, actually kept their promise on repeal and replace Obamacare, that maybe Republicans on the ground would have had a bit more security in voting. Because, look, this is what President Trump ran on, and that's why he was elected.
Why are you laughing?
Well, I mean, look, the repealing and replacing Obamacare is why they lost the House. The suburban voters turned out in droves. The exit polls said 2-1 that health care was the number one issue.
We don't do like the exit polls for Fox News. We have a fancier way, and it actually works.
Yeah.
Yeah. You canvass 125,000 people, you're going to get some answers.
Well, health care was a big issue. And the bigger, I think, and more important than the internal Republican Party dynamics is who they are electing as minority leader. Kevin McCarthy, after the House failed to pass health repeal the first time, said, let's do it again. He twisted the arm of every Republican in the California delegation, and a bunch of them lost their seats because of that vote. And that's who they're putting back in charge
Tammy?
of the House Republicans.
I think that the difference is, and I would not disagree that the Republicans have screwed this up, because beyond not repealing and replacing Obamacare, which they promised over several election cycles to do, they also didn't really articulate and try to implement something else. Yes, they were,
That's got to be so frustrating for President Trump.
Well, because he
helped his party get to the point, bring them to the brink of let's talk about repeal and replace, and then you didn't
But see, this is
that.
why I would disagree with you in that the reason that the Republicans got the House and the Senate and the White House, the overarching argument all those years was Obamacare and its drag on the economy, and that was correct. Well, this has been a warning, and they have 2 years to do it. That's why the leadership is important. If it's McCarthy and Steve Scalise, the president would seem to be, I think, happy, and they can get something done.
I'll say this, politically speaking, go ahead.
Let's leave some time to talk about the border. Okay, I'll bring you guys back.
It's okay, I'm right.